My friends, can you hear me now? Was there silence? Can you hear me now? I'm hearing in the chat. Okay, good now. Ernst says good now. Zoe says cheers. My voice is back. Yes. Okay. Mercury is almost out of retrograde. Just a few more days, and maybe my sanity will return as well. Folks, I apologize. Um, let's just jump right in. And I will count on my friends in damnation in the chat that if there is breaking news, because I can't be everywhere at one time, that you keep me posted. But we start today here, where a judge dismisses cases against James Comey and Letitia James after finding prosecutor was unlawfully appointed. Lindsey Halligan was appointed after Trump urged Attorney General Pam Bondi, by the way, via his broke down social media platform, to prosecute the former FBI director and the New York Attorney General. And so here's where we find ourselves. U.S. District Judge Cameron Curry said that she agreed with Comey, who moved to dismiss the case on the grounds that Halligan's appointment was illegal. Quote, because Ms. Halligan had no lawful authority to present the indictment, I will grant Mr. Comey's motion and dismiss the indictment, Curry wrote in finding that Halligan lacked the authority to present a case to a grand jury. Quote, all actions flowing from Miss Halligan's defective appointment, including securing and signing Mr. Comey's indictment, were unlawful exercises of executive power and are hereby set aside. The judge wrote, describing the insurance lawyer as, quote, a former White House aide with no prior prosecutorial experience. She issued a separate, similar ruling dismissing the James case. Quote, this case, now we're talking about Tish James, this case presents the unique, if not unprecedented situation where an unconstitutionally appointed prosecutor exercising power she did not lawfully possess acted alone in conducting a grand jury proceeding and securing an indictment, the ruling said. Because Halligan, who was appointed interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia at Donald Trump's direction, was the only prosecutor to present the case and sign the indictments. The indictments should be voided, the judge found. The U.S. Attorney's Office declined to comment. Halligan and the Justice Department did not immediately respond to for requests for comment. And so this is what Tish James said in her statement, quote, I am heartened by today's victory and grateful for the prayers and support I have received from around the country. I remain fearless in the face of these baseless charges as I continue fighting for New Yorkers every single day, she said in a statement. Her attorney, Abe Lowell, said in a statement that the judge's order acknowledges what's been clear about this case from the beginning. The president went to extreme measures to substitute one of his allies to bring these baseless charges after career prosecutors refused. So here's the other thing, too, before I play for you James Comey's recorded statement that he issued today. And here's the thing. So the judge in the case dismissed without prejudice. Now, I'm not an attorney, but let me break it down from what others have said. Without prejudice means that the cases could be brought again. But as it pertains to James Comey's case, which was about lying to Congress, that has exceeded the limitations, right? So therefore, they can't rebring that case again. With Tish James, they could possibly bring new charges with a new attorney. But here's the gag. One, the time limitations are coming up too on her case. And two, Donald Trump now needs to go through, what is it called? Legal proceedings and actually get an attorney appointed by Congress, by the Senate. So he's got to pick somebody and then they got to go through confirmation. That's what actually should have happened. But Donald Trump and Republicans believe that he is a king and can do whatever the hell he wants. And what we are seeing is that more often than not, is that Donald Trump is being faced with a very stark reality. We know he doesn't exist in reality, but he's being faced with a very stark reality, which is that, right? You can't do whatever the fuck you want outside of the confines of the law, right? Like, basically, here's how I understand it in my non-lawyer senses. Imagine this. You are 15, 16 years old, depending on the state. You get what when you turn 15 or 16? Your learner's permit. What does a learner's permit say? It says that you have the ability to drive if you are what? Supervised by an actual licensed driver. Essentially, Lindsey Halligan had a permit, okay? But she actually needed to have these cases overseen or sit second chair to somebody with an actual law degree that was actually appointed, right, to that position. And then she could have I guess, put out those indictments. But because this is what happens, folks, when you have folks that get their degrees, whether it be fucking their JDs or their MDs or whatever, when they get it out of a Cracker Jack box, when they are not the most successful, accomplished, thoughtful people in the room, this is what will continue to happen. When you give people jobs because they were once in your beauty pageant, as opposed to having ever been a prosecutor before, this is the type of shit that will happen. These people are so fucking inept and incompetent. They are embarrassing to their profession or whatever profession they are feigning to actually have. You want to talk, this is absolutely the didn't earn it crowd. The actual DEI didn't earn it crowd that keeps getting slapped down with reality every goddamn day because they don't have the chops or the resume to hold the important positions that this president is giving them. Right? Like, what were this woman's qualifications? Tell me. Because what this is reminding me constantly is of white mediocrity. You want to do away with all of the qualified people of color. You want to do away with all of the qualified women. You want to do away with those that have made their careers, right? The Department of Justice. You want to get rid of those. And then you want to put in place incompetent sycophants that basically got their degrees out of a Cracker Jack's box, or much in the same way that Donald Trump got his degrees, his daddy paid for it. That does not and should not make any of us feel comfortable about the way that our government is being run by the most unqualified. They're not even C students, folks. They're not even C students. A mess. So let's take a listen to James Comey, who a few hours ago provided his statement vis-a-vis video.
Grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking. But I was also inspired by the example of the career people who refused to be part of this travesty. It cost some of them their jobs, which is painful, but it preserved their integrity, which is beyond price. And I know they will serve again. I was very lucky that some of the best lawyers in America stepped forward to represent me. I hope they serve as an example to more and more lawyers, especially at some of the big firms, to participate in protecting our liberty, protecting the rule of law. And my family and friends were always with me, and luckily for me, include some of those great lawyers. This case mattered to me personally, obviously, but it matters most because a message has to be sent that the President of the United States cannot use the Department of Justice to target his political enemies. I don't care what your politics are, you have to see that as fundamentally un-American and a threat to the rule of law that keeps all of us free. I know that Donald Trump will probably come after me again, and my attitude is going to be the same. I'm innocent. I am not afraid, And I believe in an independent federal judiciary, the gift from our founders that protects us from a would-be tyrant. When I was a kid, my parents would wake us up for school every morning by snapping open the shades and saying, "Time to rise and shine and show the world what you're made of." Well, it's that time, America. It's time to stand up and show the fools who would frighten us, who would divide us, that we're made of stronger stuff, that we believe in the rule of law, that we believe in the importance of doing things by the law. So stand tall, shine, and keep the faith.
Now, folks, let's be clear. In my humble opinion, Jim Comey can go to hell, right? And why is that? Well, let's just say that he is the absolute reason that we never had President Hillary Clinton, right? James Comey was the one that decided, just because he had a hunch, he had some feelings, he had a visitor in the middle of the night, to reopen the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails in October, just a few weeks before the November 2016 elections. Now, do I put it entirely on James Comey? No. Do I put roughly 75% of it on you? Absolutely, I do. Because we know what perception is. And the perception of guilt is sometimes worse than actually being found guilty. And that's exactly what we found out with Hillary Clinton. They'd found nothing, dear friends, with regard to her fucking emails or her server, which, by the way, in the first Trump term, guess who also had a private server? Oh, Ivanka, Jared. But guess what Hillary Clinton didn't do? Walk off of her job as Secretary of State with $2 billion. You know, the way that Jared Kushner did as an advisor to his father-in-law. So, James Comey, again, I want the rule of law to work the way that the rule of law is supposed to work. But do I give a fuck about James Comey, like as an individual? No, I do not. But you see how I can literally want to give him the finger and want him to remain free because he actually didn't do anything wrong? You see how I can walk and chew gum at the same time, MAGA? So we move on. That was one of the greatest blows to Donald Trump today. So much happened late last week and over the weekend. And when I woke up this morning, this was the other piece of news. So over the weekend, as you know, and I want to give you my thoughts. Let me give you my thoughts first. Marjorie Taylor Greene announces that she is not going to seek another term. Not only that, she is resigning on January 5th. Don't know why she didn't do January 6th. But she's retiring on January 5th, 2026. And this is after one whole week of having to deal with the horrible consequences of what happens when you cross Donald Trump or Donald Trump doesn't like you. And she couldn't deal with the shit that she'd been dishing out to her constituents up until she decided to have a political turnaround for, her own sake. She couldn't take the wrath of Donald Trump for more than a week. Now, do I think that anyone who decides to disagree with Donald Trump should get death threats? Do I think that anyone should be swatted? No, I don't. But I do know all of the women of color, right? Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Cori Bush, and others, right? That have been receiving the entire time that they've been in Congress, death threats on a regular basis. Folks that have had to pay for private security for themselves because of what Donald Trump has done, but because what Marjorie Taylor Greene, again, ahead of her 180 that she has done, that she offered into the political sphere to ratchet up, right, hate and violent rhetoric. She couldn't deal with it for a week and resign. But here is the gag of all gags. And this is the thing that's not getting news, because I'm certain that she's going to get a cushy analyst position on MS Now, formerly known as MSNBC, or on CNN, because there is nothing that cable news loves more than a Republican to pay out the ass when they don't pay any of their black or brown regular actual Democratic and progressive analysts. Me. I'm also talking about myself and my colleagues who have never received a dime from any of those places, but they suck our intellect for free and think that we can eat followers. Nonetheless, so get the major gag, folks. Do you know how much Marjorie Taylor, this is according, right, to reports, how much Marjorie Taylor Greene, her net worth was when she entered into Congress? Was $700,000, which is pretty good if you ask me. That was her net worth 6 years ago. Yeah. Do you know what her net worth is now on her exit? I just want to make sure that I get this right, because I read this earlier and I don't want to quote wrong. Oh, yes. Okay. 100% right. 25 million. Marjorie Taylor Greene, when she entered Congress as a public servant to represent her constituents in Georgia, was worth $700,000. She is now leaving Congress, resigning, not only $25 million fucking richer, but with a pension to boot. Because as AOC has told us as well, she is resigning just a couple of days after her pension kicks in. This was a fucking money-making Ponzi fucking insider trading scheme. I can't drop more fucks, because when I realized, I remember, I'm not too old to remember, folks, when you went in to Congress, when you ran for office, not because you wanted to get rich quick, but because you actually wanted to dedicate your life to public service. And yeah, you got some power along with it. But the fact that you could enter into Congress now with a net worth of $700,000 and walk out with $25 million, because point to me and tell me what other job you think, after listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene all these years, that you think she could have done that would have given her $25 million. Because she's not a fucking athlete, right? She's not a hedge fund person, but she used the knowledge that she had as a member of Congress to do what they all refuse to ban, which is insider trading. She had the audacity this entire time to talk about fucking Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all of the, like, look, I talk about them all because all of them are playing the same games. They're all taking corporate money and they're all doing insider trading, while the rest of us, right, are like either on a bread line or about a check away, a missed check away from being on a bread line. It's sick. It's disgusting. And the fact, again, that mainstream corporate media is allowing this woman to wash her image. She's been on The View. She sat down on CNN. She's been in every newsroom and everywhere and saying, oh, I'm just asking for forgiveness, bop, 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 bop. Because, you know, I believe that Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to form her own party, right? She'll get some backers, some billionaire backers to help her form the anti-Trump, right? Like a real America First party, which is basically racism. But it'll be like, you know, Reagan racism as opposed to Trump racism. People will still be harmed, but it won't be as in your face. You see what I'm saying? So That is the story to me, not the story that Marjorie Taylor Greene couldn't take the heat and has decided to resign, but the fact that she is resigning with an entire multi-million-dollar fucking bag. She cashed the fuck in. And that should be the story for everyone and everywhere. But you won't hear it. So this was the other story, which was that following her resignation, and this is according to Punchbowl News, that House Republican warns more explosive resignations coming after Marjorie Taylor Greene. So her announcement, they say, revealed even more cracks in the GOP's foundation. Punchbowl News reports that even more Republican representatives are considering resigning in the middle of their term due to what they see as the, quote, arrogance of this White House. So here's what was said. This entire White House team has treated all members like garbage, all. And Mike Johnson has let it happen because he wanted it to happen. That is the sentiment of nearly all appropriators, authorizers, hawks, doves, rank and file. The arrogance of this White House team is off-putting to members who are run roughshod and threatened, one anonymous senior House Republican told Jake Sherman. They don't even allow little wins, like announcing small grants or even responding from agencies. Not even the high profile, the regular rank and file random members are more upset than ever. Members know they are going into the minority after the midterms. It's unclear which Republicans are on the brink of resignation, but their feeling of disrespect and their failure to win on various issues have led many on the right to throw in the towel for 2026 as they expect the party to lose its already slim majority. And let us be clear that they can't afford any more losses. Like Mike Johnson, in order to pass anything, but let's just be clear, Mike Johnson is actually not interested in passing a goddamn thing. He is not interested in a functioning Congress, right? He is just interested in staying out of the crosshairs of Donald Trump and saying, yes, sir, no, sir, whatever you need, sir, bend over, give me another. That's what Mike Johnson is into. So they said more explosive resignations are coming. It's a tinderbox. Morale has never been lower, the anonymous representative continued. Mike Johnson will be stripped of his gavel and they will lose the majority before this term is out. This should be a massive wake-up call for Trump and GOP leadership. A sitting high-ranking member is predicting that they will lose the House due to resignations before the midterms. And they go on, because I want you to listen to a piece of, if you had not already listened to it or read it, what Marjorie Taylor Greene said in her exit, what they're referring to as an exit manifesto. Almost 1 year, this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene wrote. Almost 1 year into our majority, the legislature has been mostly sidelined. During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker and my own party for refusing to proactively work diligently to pass a plan to save American healthcare and protect Americans from outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session working every day to fix this disaster. But instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama once again from both sides of the aisle. My bills, which reflect many of Trump's executive orders, just sit collecting dust. Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media. They know how much credit card debt they have. They know how much their own bills have gone up over the past 5 years. They actually do their own grocery shopping and know food costs too much. Their rent has increasingly gone up. They have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house. They have been laid off after being forced to train their visa holding replacement. The college, do you see what she said there? Visa holding replacement, the foreigners taking your jobs. Okay, just putting that there. The college degree they were told to earn only left them in debt with no big six-figure salary. They see more homeless people than ever on their own community streets. They can't afford health insurance or practically any insurance, and they just aren't stupid. And look, again, Marjorie Taylor Greene, pretty anti-Semitic, pretty racist, right? Like, I'm not going to have amnesia just because mainstream corporate media wants to have amnesia. And I do believe that she has something else up her $25 million sleeve. Let us all be clear. I don't think that Marjorie Taylor Greene is going away. I think that she is biding her time, and she is looking for a position much higher than representative, whether that be governor or running for president of the United States. I believe that she is going back to her states to build her war chest, right? To build her brand and be a thorn in Donald Trump and MAGA side, reminding them whenever she can that you promised America first and Americans are being left behind because you don't give a fuck, right? This is where I actually agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Here's the thing. I've said this before. Even dictators and authoritarians do some things to keep the people happy. Even if they don't have free and fair elections, they're at least in China being pulled out of poverty, right? Even if, right, you don't actually have a democracy, they are actually doing something to uphold their values so that no one goes hungry and that people receive an education and health care. But Donald Trump, not only is he gutting institutions every single where you look. You can't trust the CDC. You can't trust the NIH. We no longer have a Department of Education. DOGE has now mysteriously evaporated after literally and figuratively taking a chainsaw to our institutions. USAID, because it has been gutted, has now killed nearly 600,000 people, with half of those being children. Right? Like, we know all of the things that Donald Trump has done wrong. We know that our economy is spiraling downward. We know that this Thanksgiving costs more than last year's Thanksgiving. We know that his economic advisors are talking about how AI is going to be so revolutionary. It's going to be so revolutionary, in fact, that your children that are coming out of college, there will be no entry-level positions for them. That's how revolutionary it's going to be. Meanwhile, we're all sitting on pins and needles waiting for the AI bubble to burst, which we know is coming. And they're not going to use their money, right, to fix this mess. No, they're going to use our tax dollars much in the same way that Obama did with the big banks, because AI is now, quote unquote, too big to fucking fail. It's a rinse and repeat, folks, except Donald Trump is a robber baron that is literally robbing from us in broad fucking daylight while not giving us a goddamn thing. So I say this, folks, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Tinderbox, as the anonymous Republican said in his statement to Punchbowl, is an understatement. Donald Trump is an arsonist trying to play firefighter while pouring gasoline and leaking and setting off sparks all over the place. America is ripe for an explosion, one that they want. Because we know at the end of the day that they want full authoritarian control. But I got to be honest with you, I think that they're too fucking stupid to actually be able to execute on the fullness of their plans. They're too incompetent. They're too fucking egotistical, and they don't know how to actually give just enough so that the people remain on their side. Because when you look at the poll numbers, you see that Donald Trump is bleeding support. If he had even, let me tell you this, let me tell you how we have become so accustomed to crumbs that even if Donald Trump was just like, bet, you know what? I'm not going to offer up anything new. I'll throw them a fucking bone. I've given the billionaires, right, all of the bailout that they're going to need from now until they die, right? They're going to have tax cuts out the ass, never paying back to the society that upholds them. But at the very fucking least, I'm going to extend for the next 4 or 5 years the Obamacare subsidies. Because then, guess what he would be able to call himself? The healthcare president, right? Even if it wasn't his original idea. But because he's so fucking cruel and greedy, he can't even do that. He won't even do that. And so his own people, even, Harry Anton had a poll today where he said that, Republicans, they were 86% for Donald Trump a year ago, and they're still 86% for him. And I'm like, are you just polling the wealthy? Because the farmers have lost their farms or they've taken their own lives. You have people that had small businesses that employed, undocumented people, and now they don't have that either, and their businesses are folding. So who exactly is still rooting for Donald Trump that isn't a billionaire? I have no idea. Because the only people that are making out literally and figuratively like bandits in this country are the millionaire and the billionaire class. And all I have to say again, folks, TikTok, it is only a matter of time. It is only a matter of time before the people of this country have had enough. Because what Donald Trump has created is a recipe for disaster. There are over 1 million people have lost their jobs, and there's more joblessness coming in the new year. The economy is going to get increasingly unstable. You are now negating people's professions, namely those that are women and people of color. Doing away with nurse practitioners. Oh, that's not a profession. Meanwhile, we were ringing bells and calling them heroes in 2020. And now all of a sudden we're telling them that they're not professionals. Your job is akin to what? Bagging fucking groceries? All I have to say, it's a matter of time. It is a matter of time. And, when you listen, again, because I was talking about the big bullshit bill, I want you to take a listen to Representative Jim McGovern, who was offering his thoughts on what he says he's heard privately from GOP members and why they're just basically continue to be full of shit. Hold 1 second, because of course. Here we go.
We debated the big ugly bill. The Rules Committee was the first one up to kind of go to point out the deficiencies of that bill. During that debate, when I was debating, I had about a half a dozen Republicans come up to me and say, "You're right. It's going to screw my constituents. These cuts we're not going to be able to absorb. Rural hospitals are going to close." And I'd say, "You could have voted no on the bill?" And they said to me, I can't. I've got a primary. And I'm like, look, I would respect you more if you told me you believed in all this shit. And that's why you were voting for the bill versus I don't believe in any of it and I'm voting for it anyway. What happened to these moderate Republicans that you used to be able to do business with? And now they're so afraid of Donald Trump. I mean, they can't praise him enough. I mean, it's really sick.
Gross.
It's really sick. They can't praise him enough. They can't, flatter him enough. Nothing is ever going to be enough for an entire narcissist. That's what we know. But again, what did we see last week? We saw Zoran Mamdani give a masterclass in how to stick to your values, how to have integrity, and how to charm a bully. I mean, the memes that came out of that meeting were extraordinary. You see Mamdani, Donald Trump sitting with his in front of FDR and Mamdani just standing there. Not rude, not disrespectful, but I'm not going to have a grin on my face so that you can use it in future advertising as if I agree with you on any goddamn thing. He sat there and he talked about the United States being an accomplice to genocide, right? We have got to understand that why Donald Trump praised Zoran Mamdani before Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries did. And it's because he is providing a masterclass on not only how to woo your opponents, but how to actually have values and do so without suckling on the tit of AIPAC or corporate America. And so what we have seen from the Democratic establishment is them telling us to hurry up and wait all the time. Oh, you don't know how politics work. Oh, there has to be compromise. No, the only compromise we've seen is them compromising themselves. over and over again and telling us that's what progress looks like. So in the face of actual, real progressive thoughts and ideas, they don't know what to do with themselves because they've been exposed as being shills. I go on. What was the other breaking news today? Because there was just so much. The Pentagon says it might recall Senator Mark Kelly to military service for court-martial over illegal orders video. The Pentagon said Monday that it is investigating Democratic Senator Mark Kelly, a retired U.S. Navy captain, in light of, quote, serious allegations of misconduct the department has received against him, and could even recall him to active duty to face a court-martial or administrative punishment. The investigation comes as Trump has been pushing relentlessly for consequences for Kelly and 5 other Democratic lawmakers over a video they made reminding service members of their duty to disobey illegal orders. So tell me again, what's the crime? What was the crime that was committed? They are just throwing their weight around, throwing everything at the wall, hoping that something sticks, right? We just saw he wanted to bring down James Comey. He wants to bring down Tish James. He said on the campaign trail, I am going to be your retribution. I am going to bring down my enemies in your name. Well, it failed today. So how far do you think that this is going to go? Because Kelly was a senior officer who retired from the Navy, he is required to remain available for recall to the military by law. The other 5 lawmakers, Alyssa Slotkin, Jason Crow, Maggie Goodlander, Deluzio, Chrissy Houlihan, are not eligible for recall to a military service. In a statement announcing the review, the Defense Department seemingly alluded to the video. Quote, all service members are reminded that they have a legal obligation under the Uniform Code of Military Justice to obey lawful orders, and that orders are presumed to be lawful. A service member's personal philosophy does not justify or excuse the disobedience of otherwise lawful order. I'm sorry, what was that? I just got caught up so much in the bullshit that was coming out of that statement. So basically, in their justification under the alleged alcoholic Pete Hegseth, that any authorization that comes from the President of the United States is a lawful one. Yeah, that's not how it works, right? They swear an oath, just to a reminder to MAGA, not to the President of the United States, but to the Constitution of the United States. And to hold that, right, when they are making decisions to, bomb fishermen in the Caribbean fucking Sea, that maybe they want to think to themselves, who is going to be the fall person for this? Is it going to be the person that authorized the bombing or the person that actually did the bombing? I don't know. Ask those that were, a part of the Nuremberg trials. Now, here's the thing, folks. I know that we all want to hold on to that as if like that is going to happen. No, we live inside of a fucking banana republic. Do I think that anyone at any time, I hope, I pray, maybe before I'm dead, and I hope that that's not anytime soon, but, maybe in my elderly years, will those people that we know have done criminal acts, will they ever be held accountable? I don't have a lot of faith that they will. The thing that I constantly say is that this government, right? Like, I have to give gratitude to Donald Trump for lifting the veil, right, of this bullshit around American exceptionalism and this bullshit idea that our founders had, that the only people that would ever aspire to be president of the United States were people that actually were noble and had values. But the fact is that they don't. And what we thought, dear friends, were actually rules of law were just political norms. Norms are not laws. Norms can be interpreted however you want. The assumption has always been that the norms would be carried on because to preserve the integrity of institutions. But the systems were never built to deal with somebody like Donald Trump, right? Like he is that dinosaur in Jurassic Park that continues to test and break the fences. And everyone is just sitting around like, oh, fuck. Now what are we supposed to do? We told him to be nice and now he's not being nice. What? Like there's nothing stronger than that? There's nothing stronger than a fucking finger wag? Meanwhile, the other breaking news that happened over the weekend was this, and this is something that corporate mainstream media, again, is not making a big deal about, which they fucking should. Many prominent MAGA personalities on X are based outside the United States, new tool reveals. Users posing as right-wing Americans are operating internationally per platform's transparency feature, which, by the way, after this was all made available to the public, guess what Elon Musk broke down Twitter did? They shut it down. So, many of the most influential personalities in the Make America Great Again MAGA movement on X are based outside of the US, including Russia, Nigeria, and India. A new transparency feature, which has been shut down on the social media site, has revealed. The tool called About This Account became available on Friday to users of the Elon Musk-owned platform. This was according to The Guardian. It allows anyone to see where an account is located, when it joined the platform, how often its username has been changed, and how the X app was downloaded. As soon as the update was rolled out, users found numerous MAGA and right-wing influencers who presented themselves as patriotic Americans were operating from other countries. This is easily one of the greatest days on this platform, wrote the liberal influencer Harry Sisson. Seeing all of these MAGA accounts get exposed as foreign actors trying to destroy the United States is a complete vindication of Democrats like myself and many on here who have been warning about this. The account, MAGA Nation X, with nearly 400,000 followers and a bio reading, quote, Patriot voice for we the people, is actually operated from Eastern Europe, according to the Daily Beast. Another popular profile, Ivanka News, an Ivanka Trump fan account with about 1 million followers that frequently post about illegal immigration, Islam, and support for Trump, was revealed to be based in Nigeria. Another user also uncovered several additional cases. Dark MAGA, a smaller account with roughly 15,000 followers, is run from Thailand. MAGA Scope, which has more than 51,000 followers, operates out of Nigeria, while MAGA Beacon is based in South Asia. So what does that tell us, folks? Well, it tells us that, I don't know, all of the noise, all of the hoopla that was created on social media by MAGA to make us seem as if Donald Trump was, caught up in like the red wave, that it was all bullshit, that it was disinformation made to saturate social media and provide a skewed perception that MAGA was everywhere doing everything, that all of these accounts, much like Donald Trump himself, are what? Fucking bogus. They're all foreign actors. And the trad wives and that whole brand of folks on TikTok, they're paid for by Russia as well. That was exposed several months ago. So you're either paid by Russia to do your propaganda, or these accounts just are not real accounts. They're bot accounts, foreign accounts with millions of followers, and they just retweet and repost bullshit information to saturate and disorient the American people. So you think that would have been major news, that would be covered by mainstream corporate media? No. But thanks to the folks that Mediaite and Midas Touch and Aaron Parnes and other independent folks with enormous platforms for bringing this to light for the rest of us. So, in the interim, we have Donald Trump. None of his court cases are sticking. Okay, failing there. We have a potential martial attempt at a military tribunal for Mark Kelly because he told other military people to follow the law. And on top of which, and I didn't even have time to cover it today, which was the fact that, Donald Trump's Russia-Ukraine plan is not the Russia-Ukraine plan or his plan. It was given to him by Russia, and they just slapped their name on it. I mean, when you talk about fucking ineptitude, when you talk about the stupidest people, when you talk about they're just a mirage. MAGA is a mirage, folks. They're not fucking real. And this is the thing that I want us to walk away from today understanding. There are actually, I say this all the time, more of us than there are them, but now we know for certain because we're actually real people. And they're pledging allegiance to fucking bots. Or individuals that don't even live in this country, but are pretending to be patriots when they're in fucking Nigeria and Thailand. So, what is Donald Trump doing as we're all careening towards the escalating prices of healthcare and the subsidies that he refuses to extend while he guts our healthcare system in order to pay for his bullshit bill? Well, apparently, breaking news was yesterday that in a massive development, Trump is expected to announce the Healthcare Price Cuts Act as soon as tomorrow to fix the broken Obamacare subsidy system that gives billions to big insurance. He has officially cornered the Democrats on Obamacare. I want you to take a listen.
It went the exact opposite with the biggest increase of healthcare in any country. It's a disaster. And I'm calling today for insurance companies not to be paid, but for the money, this massive amount of money, to be paid directly to the people of our country so that they can buy their own healthcare, which will be far better and far less expensive than the disaster known as Obamacare. And I've had, I think, great support. I've even had Democrat support. So we want the money that would be going to the insurance company, which is hundreds of billions of dollars. Their stock prices have gone up by 1,000% in many cases, 1,000% over a short period of time, because our country stupidly pays them so much money with this Obamacare scandal. So I want the money to go directly to you, the people. And you go out and you'll buy your own health insurance and you'll negotiate different plans and you'll get much better insurance and you will be an entrepreneur for yourself.
You'll be an entrepreneur for yourself, as good as he is, being able to file for bankruptcy and all multiple times. So while folks today then were waiting for this big announcement and to see this plan, I want to play you this clip that happened live on CNN as folks were waiting for this announcement.
President Trump is planning to unveil a new health care proposal. And at this point, we're still waiting to know exactly what's in it. But we're told it could include a temporary extension of the Enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies, which are due to expire at the end of the year. They were at the center of the government shutdown. Zach, thanks for being here. As I noted, we are very much still waiting for specifics here. I'm sorry, this has actually been, sorry, Zach, we're getting breaking news while I'm talking to you. I have learned that the White House has postponed its expected unveiling of this new health care proposal. It was expected to be unveiled today. We'll learn more, hopefully, about that in the coming moments.
Sounds like more concepts of a fucking plan to me. Not an actual plan, just concepts of a plan. And so Donald Trump told the American people that I got this big idea and you're going to be an entrepreneur for yourself and we're going to release that information tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, everybody is waiting. Oh my God, Donald Trump, this successful businessman, he's going to give us these plans. And oh, wait, I'm sorry, I'm getting some. Oh, there is no plan. And just back to square one. It's been 15 years since Obamacare was rolled out. 15 years. And in those 15 years of complaining and trying to gut it and, override it and all of these things, Republicans have never offered up not one fucking piece of legislation, not one policy have they offered that is better than the current Obamacare plan. All they want to do is get rid of it because they're all in the pocket of big pharma. That's it. But they don't have a plan to do anything better. And they've had 15 years to create one. It's extraordinary. So we end today with this. Just this thought from former Trump White House attorney Ty Cobb. And look, like I said, I don't really give a shit about these people who were once in Trump's good graces and now they're not. So now they have all of these big insights. And again, they get paid a lot of money for their insights as opposed to real progressives and people. But I want you to take a listen to what he says about Donald Trump, because once again, it's incredibly important just to remind ourselves not to become numb to the fuckery that is Donald Trump. And so this is what Ty Cobb says.
Are not designed. They, of course, don't have the ability to say what's best for America. They can't look at a case that way. They have to say what does the Constitution require, and the Constitution really is not adequate to deal with a president as evil as Trump is, somebody whose desire to accumulate and abuse power, and by denigrating the judiciary, Trump, is basically trying to weaken one of the only remaining pillar that is standing up to him to prevent the total authoritarianism that he desires. And that war is very dangerous for us all. We need a very strong judiciary, particularly at this time where the constitutional stresses are extreme and Trump's abuses of power are unprecedented. I mean, he's committing war crimes in Venezuela and Colombia against the advice of JAG officers who gave that advice and then were fired or sidelined. Has committed a number of atrocities. The courts have been okay in terms of ultimately responding to him, but it takes time, and it's very difficult. The war against Boasberg, who's a wonderful judge and a brilliant guy and far from a liberal icon, his best friend, one of his best friends, is Brett Kavanaugh. So you see that, and then you notice this week that in response to the wholesale abuses of the law and the Constitution by Lindsey Halligan and Bondi and Trump in connection with the Comey and James cases, they've come out and attacked the Comey judge merely for asking questions about.
The funny thing is with folks like Ty Cobb and others, to me, is that you worked for Donald Trump, right? And then something went awry and you were kicked out of the club, or maybe you saw the way that the wind was blowing like Marjorie Taylor Greene and you decided to jump ship before it went down. But at one time, even with all of the things that you knew to be true about Donald Trump, you decided to work for him. You decided to be one of his shills. And now they're able to rinse off the stench of Donald Trump, get on corporate mainstream media, and then tell us how bad they were when they were in positions to change something. They didn't do that. They enriched themselves. They went along for the ride, and then they jumped ship when it suited them. And now they get paid by corporate media to tell you all that they know as Republican insiders. Go fuck yourself. In all honesty, I'm just so sick to fucking death of all of it, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene gonna get a cushy talk show gig, right? She's gonna get a cushy gig. and she's going to get to pretend that she has morals and to get to pretend that she has values, and MAGA is going to eat it up. Mainstream corporate media is going to eat it up. But for those of us who have been out here telling the truth, doing the work, we're just like, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. And yet, if you are, it pays. It seems everywhere to be your most abhorrent person. I'll tell you this, I'll close out with this, folks. I know that having integrity doesn't pay the bills, but it sure as hell helps me sleep at night. And, it's one of the reasons I keep my content free. There are tons of people with bigger platforms or smaller platforms, but you know what they do? They put up a paywall. They make you pay to comment. They make you pay to do this, pay to do that. And I don't believe that knowledge and information should be held under a paywall. I think that you should give a shit. I think that you should do this work because you care about educating people. Maybe I should have been a better business person, frankly. Maybe I should have found a place to walk into and have zero values, but get to walk out $25 million richer and then, wash myself of my sins. Because that to me seems to be the American way. It isn't to do good, right? It isn't actually to go into public service for the public. It is to go into public service so that you can get rich, and then you get out while you still have a brand, and then you use that money to, make more money. I never moved like that, and that's the problem here, right? Is that what are we teaching young people now? We teach them to go be an influencer. We teach them to be as crooked and as rotten as possible, because being good, being thoughtful, being an intellectual, being an academic, that shit doesn't pay. Caring for people doesn't pay. That's what we are being reminded of over and over and over again. And I got to tell you, some days it's wildly disheartening. Some days I'm just like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should do something else. Right? Because who are you actually helping? What are you actually changing? When the people like Marjorie Taylor Greene with half of your intellect now have more money than they'll ever know what to do with. It's sad. It truly is. It's heartbreaking, because I went into politics because I cared about doing good and right. My family is a family of immigrants, and I wanted to give back to the country that gave so many opportunities for them to build a life for themselves and for future generations. But now sitting here, it's like, at this big old age that I am, I think to myself, did I make the right decision? Marjorie Taylor Greene is not going to have to worry about her health care. She's not going to have to worry about whether or not she can afford her rent. She's not going to worry about whether or not she can afford medication or groceries. I will. You will. Maybe you went into nursing because you really wanted to help people, and now they tell you you're not even a professional. Maybe you went to become a therapist, again, because you wanted to help heal people. Now you're being told you're not a professional. I go on TV to tell the truth, and I'm not invited on into prime time because apparently my truth is just too much to take. But if I were a Candace Owens, who then had a turn of heart like a Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'd be everywhere and anywhere with multiple book deals being thrown at me. I'm telling you, the signals that we give people these days is to be your worst self, because that is what is rewarded. And it's hard to hold on to integrity. It's hard to have values when those are the messages that you're receiving day in and day out. That is it for me today, dear friends, on the Danielle Moodie Show. Folks, I want to shout out, as always, the super stickers and super thanks. And actually, I want to say this before I give kudos to those folks. I have hit 35,000 subscribers right here on YouTube, and I could not be more grateful for each and every single one of you that hit subscribe, that hit that bell, and that have been sharing this channel and this show with your networks and on your platforms, that have trusted me to inform you on a day-to-day basis about the news. And, you know, I know that it is a slow burn, but I am super grateful and super happy to have reached this next milestone. And so onward to 40 and then 50, and then inshallah one day 100,000 followers and subscribers. But I am so grateful for each and every single one of you. So thank you. And now to the super stickers and super thanks. Game Shark, as always, $2. Every dollar helps. Susan, our fabulous moderator, thank you. Without you, I would not be able to get to 35,000. Thank you for the $10. Memberships are open on this channel, friends. Know that I have 2 tiers that are open for memberships. That is for folks who want to be able to find a way to support me monetarily on a monthly basis, but do know that I will never put my content behind a paywall. But if you do have a few bucks, consider becoming a paid member of this YouTube channel. Susan, again, you're so wonderful. Thank you. Julie, thank you so much for your $10. Phoebe, coming in big as always with $50. I greatly appreciate that so very much, and for your support always. In the middle of nowhere, you became a YouTube member. Yay. Thank you so much. Social Justice Strategist, thank you for the $2.79. From Canada, Margaret, thank you so much for the $9.99. Junior for the $3. Cinelex for the $20. Thank you so much. I'm Tech, thank you for the £5. And E. Schwartz, as always, with $2. Appreciate you. And Kristen, $10. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like I said, folks, every single dollar counts and helps and allows me to do the work that I do. This show, this channel is people powered. And you're the people that I show up for every single day. If you're watching this on the Damn Digest on Substack, again, the content is free. Do consider becoming a subscriber. And if you have a few bucks, think about becoming a paid subscriber. Folks, I am back here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Do make sure to join me then. The only day that I will not be recording this week, but of course you will have content, is on Thanksgiving, but we'll talk about that as we get closer to the holiday. As always, power to the people, and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. I will see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Be well.